Good morning once again. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here uh, in your Discord channel. I'm here to discuss something on Firebase Genkit. Uh, the level is intermediate level. Like we'll talk about basic to intermediate. Let's see how it goes. So let me introduce myself first. Of course, Tushar has introduced myself, but yeah, let me do it formally. Ashutosh Bhakare. I'm a CEO of a company called Unnati Development and Training Center Private Limited. We have three offices. Two is in Aurangabad, Maharashtra, and one is in Pune. We are in training since last 23 plus years. If you see my profile, I'm a corporate trainer since last 14 plus years, delivering training based on different domains. So I'm coming from a Linux background and following the disruption of the current ecosystem because we all know change is the only constant thing. So now I'm trying to deliver some AIML classes, PMLE classes, and all that. So yeah, I'm a CK, CKAD, started with some security courses initially, trainings and all that. I'm authorized to deliver Google trainings. So I have a Google authorized trainer title. Uh, I'm a Red Hat certified instructor. I'm a SUSE certified instructor for SLE 201 course. I'm a SUSE Rancher certified instructor and Kubernetes certified instructor as well, which is again based on SUSE. Uh, Doing contribution, of course, I believe in giving back to the community. So contribution to the community is also important. So I remember in 2006, I have started with Docker meetups in my city where I had around 5, 6 people who attended Docker meetup. And now I am a Docker captain. I'm a Google developer expert, of course, and I'm a AWS community builder as well. Uh, these are some trainings which I delivered so far. Uh, yeah, these are some. I know the images are not that logically aligned, but yeah, I have been recognized as a best Red Hat trainer consecutive 2 times in a row by Red Hat itself. Uh, yeah, coming to the agenda, a simple agenda. I don't have much slides to talk about, but yeah, we'll try to take this discussion from basic to intermediate level. Uh, we'll discuss on how or what developer should focus in terms of Google Cloud. Like if you are a developer, what sort of services Google offers for deploying your application. So that those things we'll talk about here. Then of course the topic is Firebase. We'll discuss about how the Firebase is getting started or how they started initially. Right, it's not the Firebase what we have today, right? Then how the public launch or when the public launch happens, and what are the logical aspects involved in the uh, Google and the Firebase ecosystem, right? Then what are the features of Firebase? How you can build, how you can run, and how you can analyze the application deployment easily nowadays. And the most happening product what we have is Gemini, right? We all know, right? And Gemini Pro. Then we have Gemma 2. All these models are coming, and Google is very aggressive in that. So, what is Gemini and Firebase ecosystem? How you can leverage Gemini and Firebase with the generative AI stuff. Then we'll talk about Gen AI and Firebase integration and the use cases. Some of the common use cases will have. And if there are any questions, uh, we'll try to spend a couple of minutes on Q&A, right? From my slide theme, you might have seen that how a big fan I am of a Jackie Chan, right? So when I was a kid, yeah, you can guess my age after saying that, but I started watching my first movie with Jackie Chan. Like what I watch is Who Am I, right? And it was one of the epic movie which I ever watched. So coming to the cloud functions, so application deployment. So what I feel or what I see is in in current ecosystem, it doesn't matter whether you are a security professional, whether you are a database ecosystem, whether you are an ethical hacker, or whether you are a developer, or whether you are a DevOps guy, or whether you are coming from an automation. The end goal is to deal with very simple stuff, that is application deployment. At the end of the day, how the application deployment works and logical ecosystems in application deployment. So Google has a serverless model, which is basically a cloud function, right? Which is also known as Google Cloud Function, GCF. Now, when I say GCF, right, what happens is it supports around 20 plus different services. It's a serverless model where I can bring my uh, function, or I can bring my code and run it as a scheduled task, right? So probably doing a batch processing, or doing a OCR scanning, or maybe doing a payment gateway ecosystem for a while, right? So that's the cloud function. One of the hot product what developers are using currently to leverage the not only the costing, or not only the flexibility of dealing with the application deployment, but again the security aspects, right? So cloud function is one of the very famous model what Google offers. Then we have another interesting tool, uh, that is App Engine. App Engine, uh, I personally like this very much. This is a developer friendly tool, or it's a blessing for developers. What happens here is you have a code which is hosted in some GitHub, or now we have it was Cloud Repo. Now it is Secure Source Manager. It got Cloud Repo is not there now. We Google has changed it to Secure Source Manager. So let's say my code is on a GitHub, and I being a developer wants to deploy it on a container, or maybe in a cloud run of a GCP ecosystem, right? So what happens is App Engine supports that deployment from start to end. That is something called as a source to application, S2A. So you have a source code, right? You just feed the source code to App Engine. It goes and maintain that in a Docker file ecosystem, like not maintain, it creates a Docker file in a backend, it creates an image, it push it to artifact repo, and then the image gets deployed as a Cloud Run or GKE or a Cloud Function stuff. So that's the App Engine, one of the user or developer friendly stuff, right? So yeah, that's the App Engine for us. Then second is Cloud Run. Cloud Run is a service which runs a container, or which runs an application in your container. Now that application can be my Dockerized, or maybe a image what I have. Like I will be running it as a container ecosystem, right? So that container will be running it on a Cloud Run, which is stateless. Cloud Run is good for stateless, of course, where my application is not storing any session wise data. So stateless application, it runs in a GKE, on a GKE as well. It is inspired by a Knative, so it is coming from a Knative ecosystem. So it is serverless, stateless, and clusterless. So it supports load balancing, it supports scaling, it supports canary deployment for a developer. These are the eco-centric deployment what we have, right? So that's the Cloud Run for us. And of course, the last in the list is the GKE enterprise stuff. So we have three versions of GKE, which is an orchestration tool. Orchestration. One is, uh, the standard edition of a GKE. Then we have autopilot edition of a GKE. I don't want to get into much because the context is not about that. The context is something different. But yeah, GKE Enterprise is one of the common tool where the developer can use a service mesh ecosystem. He can even use multi-cluster management. So it's a single glass view, or it's a single agile ecosystem which has a what do you say, which has a multi-cloud capacity. Like even in the morning, I was reading somewhere about a Uber, how they deployed their multi-cloud application. So the era is multi-cloud. So GK Enterprise is another offering where a developer can host their multi-cloud ecosystem in a single at a single place, right? So that's the enterprise stuff. Yeah, that's all in terms of what developer really needs, or what are the services we have for the developer friendly stuff, right? So cool. Then that's a deployment stuff, but where the developer should host it, or not host, is like where the developer can get a deployment environment, like how a developer can do a deployment of it, right? So coming to that is Firebase. Firebase started in 2011 by two people like James and Andrew. Uh, it was initially known as Involve, right? So they started with a thought process of providing uh, providing an API for the integration of an online chat functionality. That's it. That was their initial goal, right? So how the chat messages was getting discovered, like how Discord works. It is using API in a backend. Same way, they started with that thought process. But later on, they realized that it's not only good for chat messaging or API kind of ecosystem, right? Uh, they started dealing with application, like they started beyond the API stuff, right? So in September 2011, they spun off, evolved into a separate company called a Firebase. So honestly speaking, the Firebase got started in 2011, right? You can say that, right? So in but they did public launch in April 2012, right? So like initially they was offering something called real time database, like how the time series database was. So they thought of providing a real time database, and then that database was synchronizing the application across the various platform, right? So that's the initial goal. And then if you see later on, they started expanding it. If you see now, they had a Firebase hosting, they have a Firebase authentication, they have backend mobile application. So whoever developer I met so far, they say that Firebase is mobile backend as a service, right? They was, but it's not like that. Nowadays, it's more than that. Let's see how it is, right? So, and of course, seeing the potential of a product called Firebase, Google acquired this company in October 2014, right? So, Firebase has significantly expanded because the advantage is win-win situation, of course, because GCP and Google has a lot of services, right? So today Firebase is an excellent platform for range of tools for app development, including real-time database, authentication, storing, hosting, and many more, right? And being a Google product, of course, it's a cloud product, so there is a pricing ecosystem. Maybe I will touch base that quickly. So uh, it has two model. So the only paid model is Blaze plan, right? So right, of course, if a developer wants to do analytics of it, there is no cost for it. But of course, if a developer wants to deal with the storage, then the developer has to pay some cost for it, right? A/B testing is free for both the plans. Then bandwidth. So of course, if I'm using uncached outgoing bandwidth, then I have to pay some amount. So of course, these are the things. And yes, now here you can see the integrations or what cloud product can be used with the Firebase. So you can use Cloud Run, you can use Cloud Build. Cloud Build is like a Jenkins where I can trigger. And recently, Google has started something called code deploy, right? So we have a product called cloud deploy, my bad, cloud deploy, which deploys an application in a backend. So that's again a new product coming into picture that is also supported. Then cloud logging, then it supports cloud secret managers, all these things. And of course, the next is, see, very common stuff, right? I need to do a SAML authentication. I need to do OIDC stuff, right? I want to do SSO, right? How I can do that? So that is something managed by authentication module by default. Then cloud storages are also supported in the Firebase stuff. So a lot of stuff. I don't want to get into all these things because then the session will be more on the Firebase than the Firebase Genkit. But yeah, this is a messaging or a cloud storage stuff, right? We have a cloud function. Sorry, I missed this. Cloud function also, right? So yeah, these are the things what we have in terms of pricing and the product ecosystem, right? Then, as I said, what Firebase is doing or why a developer should use a Firebase, right? So first is develop. So it is a backend service for real-time databases, authentication, then hosting, storage, messaging, and remote configuration. So I think these are the major features where developer needs to do a painful hard work to take it in his uh, environment, right? That's one of the stuff. So of course develop. Then of course he can do uh, test lab. So how I can test it? So it supports test lab for Android. Crash report is also there. Then it supports dynamic link, AdWords stuff, right? Invites. AdWord is again a very unique feature of the Firebase, what we have. Then you have Ad Mobile also, like AdWord, we have Ad Mobile also, right? So we have both the options available with us. So yeah, so develop, grow, and earn. These are the three things. And of course, the end is, or the last point is analytics. You will able to do all the analysis of the current ecosystem, right? So let's see it in one single scenario or a single slide. So here, what I can do is, see, I can do an app check, app hosting, authentication, data connect. There are a lot of extension it provides, right? Even uh, I saw these extensions very helpful for me in some cases. Store database, functions, machine learning, real-time database. So these are the build options. These are the categories of what we have in terms of build stuff. Then how do I run this, right? So, or how do I manage? So a developer's common goal is A/B testing, right? So where I have two versions of my applications, and I have to say that, hey, my app one or version one should go to 90% of an access, and version two should go to 10% of access. So how I do that, right? So that is done by app testing, right? Then you can do crash analytics. You can check performance like a latency, right? So I can actually see that which part of my code is taking more latency or getting a low latency stuff, right? So that's again possible. Dealing with messaging is also very comprehensive for all this stuff. So yeah, these are the logic on the run ecosystem. And of course then you have analytics, right? So it has a real-time analytics. You can check the events, logs, right? You can deal with a debug view, like a debugger kind of ecosystem. So yeah, these are the Firebase stuff. So in fact, how it comprises of, like how a build and run works, right? So if you see, as I said earlier, that the code is lying in a source repo, right? By the way, as I said, source repo is absolute now. Google is coming with a picture called coming with a product called Secure Source Manager, right? Google has a product called Secure Source Manager, and then you feed it to the cloud build. So maybe my product is or my code is in a Python, for example, right? So I can use uh, something called cloud build. I can create a trigger out of it. Trigger, right? I can say, hey, this is whenever there is some update in my you know update in my code, right? Create a trigger and build an image on it, right? So that is something done by cloud build. So it will build an image and push to container registry. Now it is known as something called AR, artifact registry, right? And then you have a Firebase hosting here. This is what I was talking about, right? Right. So Firebase hosting will bring that image and use a cloud run to deploy that app on a Firebase using a Firebase storage, maybe a cloud storage or Firebase authentication. So here, though, see why, like how Google and Firebase are complementing each other. Here is the reason. So this is a GCP service, and these are Firebase service. So the application is running on Cloud Run, but that management, hosting, authentication, storage, I'm managing using Firebase, right? So that gives you a quick insight on how these logical scenario works, right? In terms of application ecosystem, like if you are a developer, of course you know this how it is dealing with, right? So that's the logic of how build and run works. And now coming to, so I created, or I tried to create a foundation of our discussion by providing a little info on Google Cloud products, a little info on Firebase, and now how the Firebase Genkit is coming into picture that we are going to talk about, right? So, uh, Gen AI, we all know Gen AI, right? So I should not talk about Gen AI much, right? But yeah, AI, we all know where you create a content, where you create a new idea, right? Whatever you want to deal with, you can basically do, right? Uh, so that's not an issue. So I don't want to talk much on Gen AI. So, and Gemini, yes, Google Gemini, multi-model large language stuff, LLM, developed by Google's DeepMind in behind after Lambda, Palm 2, right? So we have Gemma also, right? That currently we don't have a context of talking on Gemma, but yeah, later on, like even after this session, I request go and check what we have in the features of Gemma, Gemma 2, and all that, right? So Gemma, sorry, Gemini, we have Gemini Pro, then we have Gemini Nano, lot of things, right? Of course, it is a good competitor for OpenAI ChatGPT stuff. Now, can I integrate my Gemini in Firebase, right? Or how I can bring Gemini in Firebase, right? So Gemini supports natural language processing, like prompt engineering or prompt Gemini is there. Then it supports real-time ecosystems, right? So you can check or you can do ready to assist kind of ecosystem, right? Uh, then you can deal with uh, you know different Firebase expertise, implementation guidelines, and all that. Code generations, right? I was doing one session, I didn't remember, but Gemini is very powerful tool as an uh, the developers stuff, right? So it's a bahubali for developer, to be very honest, right? So how that I'm doing a demo where I showed people that how I can generate a code which checks the three failed consecutive login from a single source, right? So and then I can tweak my policy to, even I can write a policy to block that. That is how Gemini supports, right? So anyway, that's the logic of it. Gemini, it can also help you to analyze the code, suggest the improvement. Lot of products coming with Gemini ID interfaces. It supports decoding, troubleshootings, logs, analysis, everything it supports, right? Yeah. Now, considering that Gemini and Firebase has lot of options. So we have build, like you have some model deployed already. Like you can say build chatbot with Gemini API. Simple, right? Or you can say multimodal task with Gemini API, vector search with Firebase, right? Or you can use semantic search with Vertex AI, right? So we have two things here. One is Vertex AI in Firebase and Firebase Genkit. So Vertex AI is client-side web and mobile Gen AI app with the client SDK, right? Can be for a Flutter, can be for Android kind of ecosystem, and of course Firebase Genkit. It helps you to build and deploy Gen AI on a server side, right? Which has a third-party AI provided, right? Uh, which has a AI models. It has a multi-stage workflows, multi-stage workflow. It supports Node.js, all this stuff. And yes, Firebase Genkit, uh, it helps you to build, deploy, and monitor AI-powered application. That's one of the primary goal of Firebase, right? So, even if you see, there is a lot of logical documentation available here. So it has a capability of unified API for AI generations, structured generations, like a JSON, like P12 format or XML format. Then you can call different tools and RAG stuff, right? Retrieval argumented generations, prompt engineering, right? So yeah, you can see that. This is how you can import. These are the developer tools. So yeah, this is a link which is already there in my chart. Sorry, in my slide. No worries. I will be sharing this slide if required. Yeah, this is how you empower the developers with the AI. Firebase Genkit is geared towards common generative AI applications. See, I just asked some question to my Firebase Genkit, like what kind of burger do you have available on the menu? So I want to generate a response of it, right? Or I want to generate my hotel menu card. So those things uh, are provided here. It supports text summarization, translation, image generation, all that, right? So yeah, that's the logic behind the Firebase Genkit. It supports integration with currently used Firebase toolchain, right? It allows developer to easily test feature locally via Google serverless platform, that is Cloud Function, the one which we discussed, and Cloud Run, right? It is designed for it is designed to open any and all models, including vector stores, evaluators. You can bring lot of models using plugin also, right? That's the logic of Firebase Genkit, right? Then Project IDX is basically a IDE which comes with a full support of Genkit for developers. So maybe not aligned with our discussion, but yeah, later on you may try to explore what is Project IDX, right? It supports SQL databases, You can use Firebase app hosting. It supports CDN. CDN is our Google another product, right? Content delivery network. That's again an advantage for the current ecosystem, right? So yeah, that's all in terms of Firebase Genkit and how the Genkit works. And these are some URLs. This is a GitHub URL for getting into Genkit details. I have uh, pulled some of the famous codes. Like, let's say I want to build a chatbot using a Genkit, right? So how I can do that? See, so this is a repo which does. Then you can just host it on wherever you want. So of course, these are the commonly used repo what we have in the current ecosystem, right? Yeah, I think that's all from my side. Any question or anything to ask, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much,
I
sir,
think I
for
can.
all those insights. Yeah, we have actually a
Great.
few questions. We have collected many questions from all the
Okay.
community and the registrations and all. So, like, may I go on one by one asking those?
Please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so starting with Krishnendu, who is asking, what are some common challenges faced by developers using Firebase Genkit and how those can be handled?
So I would say before uh, Firebase Genkit, how you can integrate the different tools, right, was one of the most challenging part. So Firebase Genkit is actually a solution for the challenges, I would rather say, not the challenges. So
Got
I
it.
feel it's more agile now in terms of Genkit, Firebase Genkit. Yeah.
Right. Got it. Okay. Moving on to the next question, Ankan is asking, what is the cost implications? You have already covered this one, but if you can put once more about this, what is the cost implications of using Firebase Genkit?
So, sorry, let me go back to my slide just to tell you about
Yeah,
the
sure.
costing
Yeah,
with the link
yeah.
here. So, this is the costing. We have a Blaze plan, which talks about different aspects. So, it's not about, being a Google product, we have a pay as you go model, but it's not on the Firebase always. So, you are using a lot of things in and around Firebase. So, that's the reason you may need to see the cloud run pricing, cloud build pricing, code deploy pricing nowadays. These things coming into picture, right?
Okay, got it. So, like, just a heads up for the audience, we will be sharing the slide in the mail. You will getting the feedback mail. You will get with that. The slide link will be attached, so like you can hover over to any slide and check all the hyperlinks that are provided. Okay, that's all. Okay, moving on to the next question. We have a question from Rahul Basu. He's asking, how does the Gemini project integrate with Firebase, and what new possibilities does this bring for developers?
Ah, it's a ocean. So Gemini itself is a very lucrative tool for any developers. So and integrating with the Firebase gives you, as I said, uh, you can search, you can do analytics. It reduces the pain of a developer around 70, 60, 70%. So yeah, that's the logic of bringing Gemini to Firebase.
Right, helping the developer as they go. Got it. Yeah. Moving on to the next question from Momita. She's asking, what future improvements can we expect from the collaboration between Google and Firebase? Like, what's the future roadmap we are looking into from Firebase?
Yeah, to be very honest here, I have no idea on that, no clue on that, right? Because I had not seen the roadmap, so I have to check the roadmap. To be very honest,
Got it.
so
Sure.
maybe I will check and put it in a Discord channel once I got the roadmap details, if
Yeah,
that is
great,
okay.
great. Yeah. As you are part of our Discord server, like you can interact freely with any of the participants present here. So that's all. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Next question to Srijit. Uh, from Srijit, how does Firebase Genkit support multi-tenancy, and what are the best practices for managing multiple clients?
Ah, multi-tenancy is one of the good feature of Firebase, right? Which is basically like a Firestore, right? I have to use the multi-tenancy class, right? I have to use different uh, configurations. But yeah, multi-tenancy, we can use it in a Firebase. Uh, I think it's all about the multi cloud ecosystem also. So of course, we can use it, and we can technically deal with all the identities via the authentication. So for that, I think the Firebase authentication module is one of the important stuff which we need to understand while dealing with the multi-tenancy. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And the last question we have from Nilanjan Bose. For a new developer starting with Firebase, which tools and features should they focus on? What you should recommend starting and how should they start?
Yeah. So I have already shared that. I think I stopped my screen sharing somehow. So sorry. 1 minute.
Yeah,
I
sure.
have already shared the details of link. I can take you. Yeah, here. So this is a good place for getting started with the Firebase. Yeah. This link is already there in my slide. I will be sharing my slide also.
Okay, sure, sure. So
In
yeah,
fact,
for the
I can
audience, we will
share
be
my
getting
slide link.
the yeah,
I
yeah.
have
You can
already
share the
shared my
slide link
slide link
also.
in the chat.
Yeah, great, great. So, yeah, anybody can access the link from here. We will also be sending this through mail. Okay, so that's all
And
question that we have covered. Anything more, sir? Thank you so much for giving all the insights about Firebase. And anything more you have to say as an ending note for the audience present here today?
nothing. I would rather say thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Tushar. Of course, thank you, Prasad. Without him, this is not possible. It's my privilege to uh, talk on this Hack4Bengal channel for sure. And yeah, see you soon and all the very best to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Prasad, sir. Thank you, Google for Developers, for supporting us in this initiative. And this is just the start. This was the first of the series of the events that we have started partnering with Google for Developers. There will be several offline events coming up very soon. Just keep an eye on our announcement channel. On this Discord server, you will be getting all the announcement here. We have provided the QR, as you can see, for the feedback form. Along with that, it will
Feedback. Yeah,
also go
I
in the
was
mail.
supposed to tell
So
that.
no worries. Yeah.
Please fill
So
the
thank you so
feedback
much, sir.
and let us know if any improvement is required in my session. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to
Thank you,
everyone for
sir.
joining.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon. Thank you.